Hey everyone, want to make another video here. Sorry we haven't been keeping up with videos lately. We're both just incredibly busy. We have, obviously, if you follow us along, you know we have a lot of kids. We are in the middle of soccer season right now, and that with everything else is just keeping us busy. But this video here I wanted to make that goes along with our lesson this week. If you guys don't follow us along and then through our newsletter, you can visit our website at these16things.com. That's these16things.com. And sign up for our newsletter where we send out, I guess twice a week, we send out a lesson that has to do with helping teach your kids life skills. And that can be anything from finances to this week's is patience. How to learn to be a little more patient, or how to teach your kids how to be a little more patient. But in the newsletter, if you have already read that, you know this, but let me switch hands here. Sorry, it's going to wiggle a little bit. But you know that I talk about two stories that happened in the previous 24 hours from me writing the lesson. And one of those was just almost a road rage type thing. We won't get into that here in this video. And then another was at a youth sports game, a youth soccer game. I was coaching U11. And the other coach just was kind of losing it and getting upset with the ref, which led over into kind of yelling at me a little bit. Then his players not shaking hands because they're upset and they think that the ref is trying to cheat them out of the game or something. I don't know. It was just it was a mess. But I guess the point of that is linking that with patience. Obviously, you can probably tell, but just being patient with anything that happens in your life. So the first one, which again, I don't really want to go into the whole thing, just to keep this shorter, I don't mind talking about it, but was through no fault of really either one of me or another vehicle. We both started merging to a lane. We both merged back, and then they started yelling, sticking their head out the window, yelling at me, flipping me off and everything. And I don't take that bait, and I just kind of wave to them and smile and move on with my life. And then the coach this was Saturday morning at the soccer game. Again, he thought the ref made some bad calls. Personally, and it's not just because those went my way. There were several that didn't go my way that really affected the game. But I thought the ref did a great job. And it's also, I do know the kid and I know the family, and it's not because of that either. He just did a good job reffing. And even though I was disappointed at some of the calls, it's because of what happened, not because it was called, because they were good calls. I just didn't want those things to happen. So, but the ref, or the other coach, I believe he ended the half going and talking to the ref there at halftime, and immediately, even though his team got a penalty kick and scored on a last-second penalty kick, literally when he scored, the ref blew the whistle, game was over. That ended up letting them tie up the game. And he goes straight to the ref. Doesn't even talk to his players. Doesn't say, good job, way to hustle, way to finish out the game. Goes straight to the ref and starts complaining to him. This is a 13-year-old kid that started reffing, I think, 3 weeks ago. Actually, 3 weeks ago might have been his practice time. So he was just on the field as an extra ref, but wasn't the main one. So he's really young in that, and almost no experience reffing. But still, he did a great job. But the point, again, we're going to bring it back. I do like to go off on tangents. But the point is patience. I mean, the other coach, and I don't want to badmouth the guy. I was talking to somebody else, the guy that runs the league, and said, listen, if the guy comes up and he's like, yeah, my bad, I shouldn't have done that, we can be best friends. I mean, not saying we probably will, but I can get over that really quickly. And so really no ill will towards the guy. It's just the situation that happened that I want to talk about. Of you have a 13-year-old kid who's reffing. It doesn't matter if it's a 13-year-old or a 60-year-old that's been reffing for the last 40 years. Having patience with that guy. It didn't solve anything by the other coach going to yell at him and then telling his players that they actually won the game because the calls were so bad that we shouldn't have had some goals or they should have had more goals, whatever it was. Literally telling his kids that they actually won the game because the ref did a bad job. And then that turns the kids into grumps, and then two of the kids wouldn't shake hands with us. They were being grumpy and getting mad and not shaking hands. Again, at like 9 and 10-year-olds mostly at this game are now acting like that, I think, because they took the lead from the coach. So again, it didn't solve anything. The game still ended up the same way. it only had negative effects. There was no positive, only negative effects. Versus if he would have just said, you know what, that really stinks. I didn't even like the calls. I don't agree with the calls. I don't think that the game should have ended up in a tie. I think we should have won, and blah, 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 whatever it is. I think even his kids wouldn't have been so upset. The kids on the team, I mean, his players. And obviously he wouldn't have been so upset. We could have ended the game in a friendly way. In general, I don't think he was mad at me until I called him out on his bad behavior. Then he was kind of mad at me. But I don't think at first he was mad at me. He was, again, mad at the ref, but that spilled over into us. So, again, the patience, it helped nobody else by him doing that. It only hurt the situation, and it hurt the mood of the players. And I had a friend several years ago. This guy's moved out of town. And one time, I'm sure I was getting frustrated at something, as most of us do. And sometimes rightfully so. We get frustrated, we get upset. But the point is to hold that back. I really hope, I'm going to have to check this. I hope the wind isn't too bad. Right now, it's getting windy, but my kids are all inside getting crazy, and it's loud, so I wanted to come out here. But my buddy, I'm sure, like I said, I was getting frustrated at something, and he told me, don't let them steal your peace. And it took me a minute to realize what he meant. And he's like, what he means is don't give them control over me. If somebody else is frustrating you, then they have control over you. They can do stuff to you, get you upset, and then turn your whole day around. Versus if you just shrug it off and say, you know what, it doesn't bother me. The two of us merging into one lane and then having to switch back real quick shouldn't really bother anyone. But it clearly bothered that group of, they were probably 20-something-year-old guys, full of guys, so I'm sure that had something to do with it as well. But it shouldn't have bothered them that much. Maybe they got frustrated real quick, but then waved it off. This guy could have just pushed it off and said, you know what, it doesn't bother me. So that's the point. By us doing this, what are we teaching our kids as well? Are we teaching our kids that, you know what, bad things are going to happen, and as long as you react to them right then, it's okay. Because you're upset, you're mad, and you can always go back and apologize. You can't always apologize for things. Some things these two things are easily, everybody can move past these two things. But other things, if you act out of anger, out of frustration, may not be able to be taken back so easily. So be careful when a frustrating event comes up for you. Show some patience. Be careful. Don't act out of anger. Don't act out of rage. And maybe use that as a teaching opportunity for your kids. Teach your kids that, hey, you don't have to get angry every time. You can show some peace. You can have some patience, and in the end, it usually works out better for everybody involved when patience is shown. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, make some comments if you'd like. I know that always helps the algorithm. So make a comment, maybe tell us something about maybe something that did frustrate you that you're going to work on, or a time that maybe you did show patience when you could have acted out of anger. So anyway, thanks guys. We'll see you later.